The Last Temptation of Christ by Martin Scorsese, who is a Roman Catholic, mind you. Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
I thought, I didn't put that together. I thought he was Jewish, which is, honestly,
Really?
Sometimes Italians and Jewish people do look similar. So it's an honest mistake.
Oh my God.
It makes sense. He's Italian, Roman Catholic. In this movie, a lot of Catholics actually took issue with, I guess, when it came out in the 90s.
Yeah, they did. I know.
Much like, and this is a movie we're going to discuss in tandem with this, just because, I mean, it's very similar subject material, but the Passion of Christ by Mel Gibson.
Passion of the Christ.
The Passion of the Christ. Very good. Thank you. And I'm not being sarcastic when I say that, because the people would have been lost had we not addressed that mistake.
Yeah, it's odd the way that's
phrased,
but there's a reason, and I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
I couldn't tell
Christ,
you either.
I mean, what's Christ? It means something. Leader or God or I don't know.
In full disclosure, I did grow up a Roman Catholic as well. I went to Catholic school, as did Dad Man. If that makes you want to subscribe more, I'll take it. If it makes you want to subscribe less, maybe forget you heard it.
Ignore that we said it.
Forget you. Then I'm a Wiccan. How about that? And now you love me, and I'm your favorite podcaster of all time. Anywho, so The Last Temptation of Christ stars Willem Dafoe. Harvey Keitel plays Judas. Judas is much, much different. And a lot of Catholics at the time, and I think it's because, honestly, like early 90s, Catholics were they were a little soft back then. I wasn't alive back then, but just from things that I've seen, they thought Mortal Kombat was too gruesome, like the first one. Which, bro, you should play the new one. Because they'll like rip if you do a fatality on someone, they'll like rip their guts out and hang you with it.
Oh, cool.
That's what you can do now. That's modern
Things
technology.
Have gotten better.
Yeah. And it's cool. And everyone's like, it's video game. Yeah, you can do that. But I think all of the kind of controversy that the Catholic Church has gotten into has made them have a lot thicker skin than maybe they had in the 90s. I could be wrong, and I know, look, I'm Roman Catholic too. If you're Roman Catholic, you're taking a lot of offense to what I'm saying. I'm not. I just feel like you should be like, you don't have to agree with every piece of art that's out there. And you get made fun of a lot now. It's because you have thicker skin. It should go around to everyone. So, like, I make fun of Irish people. It means that what I'm trying to say by that is that everyone should be able to be made fun of, myself included. So Catholics, that's okay. But that means everyone, okay? So every religion, every race, every creed is fair game. There's no protected classes. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So they took issue with it. I don't
remember it as well.
So
there was a temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
But was it by
Satan? Yes.
Okay.
So he's led to believe an angel was sent down by God to give him the opportunity that he didn't have to die. So what's the Old Testament story where there was a father who was told to stab his son?
Yeah.
Is it Jonas or something?
No, Jonah was the whale.
I should know this.
I can't remember.
I mean, I'm familiar with the story. I just don't remember the name. But anywho, spoiler alert, right before he plunged the knife into the chest of his son, God said, JK, just kidding.
Did he send an angel to physically stop him?
Maybe.
Okay, you don't know.
I mean, he was like, you don't have to do it in some shape or form or fashion. And he's like, you think he was going to let that human keep his son and God wasn't going to keep his own son? But that was the temptation. And he lives a long life with not Mary Magdalene. They were together for a little bit, and Mary ends up dying, and then he ends up with Lazarus' Mary. I don't know why it has to be a Mary with Jesus, but apparently that was vital. So Lazarus, which I actually found out through this film, I guess it was very shortly before the crucifixion, was resurrected by Jesus. I had no idea Lazarus, because I've known about Lazarus Pit, which is supposed to revitalize. It's like the Fountain of Youth. I always thought was the Lazarus Pit. Lazarus.
Well, that rejuvenate, rebirth.
Exactly. So I thought that was like mythology or culture, another culture. I didn't realize that was Catholicism. Culture. Yeah. So he's with Mary, who, because they kill Lazarus again.
Poor guy
can't catch a break, and has kids. Grows old. I think he remains in carpentry, so he's a nobody, and he catches.
He's a contractor.
He probably made big money back then. Like, hey man, I made one parcel a week. I was making bank, but and interest. But anyway, so one of the guys who was like a Roman mercenary or something, or something like that, you know. He was originally in on getting Jesus for the crucifixion originally. Okay. And he was a little bit of a bastard. Or no, he was one of the people who murdered Lazarus.
Okay.
Is speaking the gospel of Jesus and saying that he rose from the dead. And Jesus overhears this and he pulls him aside and he's like,
hey, I'm Jesus.
Well, he doesn't bring that up until afterwards. He's like, I know that. Then he's like, why are you espousing these lies about Jesus?
Yeah.
He's like, Jesus never died on. He's like, these people will. The thing that matters to them is the Jesus I tell them about.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and if I don't know how to put it in the words. The movie does it really well, but it's like that idea in their minds is going to give them the power that basically Catholicism does. Yeah. He's like, I don't care if you did or didn't. Right. And after he tells them like, no, that's me. He's like, to them, you don't matter. It's this Jesus.
Concept of Jesus rising from the dead.
Yeah. This, even if it's a fictionalized character, I'm going to tell it to them like it's real and it's going to matter to them. And you didn't make that sacrifice. You don't matter. So you don't get to tell them about
what really happened.
Yeah. And we'll see who they believe, because it means something to them. They're not going to believe you because they don't want that to break, which is like when atheists try to make other people question their faith.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you like a new perspective to that, you know?
Right.
And then Jesus is on his deathbed and Harvey Keitel, who again is Judas, comes in. And I love the way, quite frankly, that they do depict Judas, because Jesus told him, I'm giving you the hardest job. He's like, the crucifixion is easy. I wouldn't want to be the one that has to give up someone to
be crucified.
Yeah. So he's like, you made me do that, and then you came off the cross after you said, all you have to do is give me to them and I will do the rest, and you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. And he's like, he like spat on him, and he's like, I was your best friend, I was your strongest apostle. And this is what you did to me. Like, you threw me down the well. And that's when he realizes, Jesus, that the angel that freed him from the cross was Lucifer. He had recognized that when he looked at this angel, he saw the same image he saw in the desert during his 40 days of trying to find temptation. Yeah. And it was the original temptation that they tried to get him with. Is like, you can have a family. It's like, what? why do you want to do this? Like, and then it goes even further to like grandeur. It's like you can rule any country you want. Me and you together, we can rule the world. It's like, why do you want to do that? Mm-hmm. And it's when he's on the cross at his weakest is when Lucifer was able to entice him, and he pleads with God as he crawls out of his deathbed and goes to the hill where he was to be crucified on and says, God, please, I beg of you to take me back to the cross, and I want to bear this weight. Mm-hmm. And it lets him go back. And
I mean, that's not biblical.
Yeah, it's not the gospel at all, but it unveils so
very
much.
Meaningful, though.
I know. And I'm not like,
I don't think it's anti-religious. It's just
I don't think so either.
It's a complete variation of what was believed to have happened.
And it makes us understand Jesus to be human in a way. So, like, I get it. As a Roman Catholic, I believe that Jesus was the Son of God. Mm-hmm. But God came down to our level with Jesus.
Right.
He didn't make us ascend to his level of a God. Mm-hmm. He was in human form, so he had temptations like a human.
Right.
And he was able to ascend above them and not sin. But it doesn't, like, the way I described it is there is no bravery without fear. And not sinning isn't an accomplishment without temptation. It's like,
good.
If you never hunger and I ask you not to eat something, it's not an accomplishment for you to, it's just a decision.
Right.
And fairly easy. It's like, well, why would I do that? Like, he asked me not, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I don't think, at least growing up, I never thought of it that way. That it's like, that was fucking hard as a human to decide. He could have had the power of anything he wanted. Clearly, he could perform miracles.
Had human desires and temptations, and because he had lived as a human.
Yeah, and on the cross, God wasn't with him, like, because that was when I forget why. There's something in the Bible as to why. But it was because he was about to go to hell. Like, he was absorbing the sin of mankind. Mm-hmm. So God could not be with him as he suffered on the cross. Mm-hmm. So he was at his weakest moment, and he was uncertain of whether he was actually doing the right thing, because up until that moment, God was always with him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like religious shit, it's not going to be your jam. But I thought it was really fucking good. I liked the passion. And that was controversial in its own right. So much so that it gained attraction. Right. It's the most watched R-rated movie of all time. It's The Passion of the Christ. And
is that or because for excessive violence?
Violence, yeah. I mean,
obviously, it did.
Yeah. And like in this movie, the violence on Jesus wasn't as bad, but it's pretty bad in Mel Gibson's. But I guess even biblically, it's nowhere near as bad as they describe it.
It was really bad in Gibson's.
It was very close. So I heard it was like, his face was so broken he had no recognizable features, which they do pretty well in the movie. I think they did something to his manhood, because I think in the Bible they say you couldn't tell, or one of the Gospels, you couldn't tell if he was a man or a woman. That they didn't do, but understandably so.
Yeah.
Because I think he had a loincloth. I wouldn't want to see.
No.
Yeah.
They did enough that you realize.
Yeah, it was pretty. Actually, The Passion was pretty close. Yeah. Which I appreciate, but you get much more of the life of Jesus from The Last Temptation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Whereas The Passion of the Christ is Just the
and
yeah. And I know I've said it before, but I really liked how they portrayed Judas as though, because I don't know, I always think, are these characters that have often been painted as bad people, are they really bad, or
they fulfill a role that was necessary,
right?
That was perceived as
I just can't, because they said it was, even in the Old Testament, it was said, or it was predetermined that Judas was always going to do that.
Betray him.
So how can he be evil if he didn't have free will to decide that?
Well, yeah.
That's why it's like I understand the sentiment that it was like he had to be the strongest of the apostles because he was going to betray him.
Yeah, and forever be considered,
Well, look at
his
it.
Last name? Judas?
I do, and I can't remember it right now.
Iscariot. Like I-S. I don't know. It starts I-S.
Yeah. Well, I know Pontius Pilate is which apparently they have a lot of trouble finding any historical record of that person. Yeah. Which I just find that to be really interesting. But look at it, dude. There are, of the apostles, some of those names are pretty freaking common names. I know two people whose first names are that of I know multiple people actually who have names of apostles.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I think, is Joshua one, or is that like a way of saying Jesus?
I don't know. I don't think he was an apostle, Joshua.
I think
that's
Joshua is like maybe from Hebrew. Is
Yahweh is
Jesus or God?
God.
Yeah.
And that's Old Testament.
So like people they name their kids after these apostles for thousands of years. Have you ever met a Judas?
No, I've met a Judah, but I've never. You're right. I've never. That's a good point. I mean, Peter, Paul, Matthew, Mark, Luke,
yeah,
John.
Like those are. That's our dog. She didn't get her autism medication today. She's upset.
She upsets easily,
and I don't blame her. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I really liked it. I thought it was even better than The Passion of the Christ. I would recommend it it's Scorsese. So, if you like film, just watch it. Because it's interesting to see someone take on biblical storylines. Especially someone who is as talented a filmmaker as him. So, keep that in mind. And, Dad, man, anything you have to say on The Passion of the Christ, or what we talked about with The Last Temptation of Christ?
No, I did not know I didn't know about the temptation, and that sounds very interesting, to be honest. I didn't know the plot of it at all. And I remember the controversy when it came out.
Really? I mean, yeah, I guess if you touch anything about Christ, there will always be outrage. Well, did you hear what I was saying at the beginning when I was kind of talking about how Catholics had been kind of soft and now they're they've developed a hard skin by scandal?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point there. I never thought that personally, but I can definitely see your point, where it's like he who is without sin can cast the first stone.
They go over that. So he doesn't say that exactly, but Mary Magdalene was about to be stoned, and you can see how the parable, or whatever you call it, came to be.
Right.
Because one of the guys was like, he who has not sinned here? And one guy rose his hand, and Jesus was like, I know what you do with this mistress, and I know you don't treat your workers well.
Yeah.
He's like, but here, and he gives him 2 stones, and he's like, go ahead. This is a bigger stone. Throw it.
Yeah.
And he pussies out.
Well,
But and then he says, but know that God will judge you is harsher than I ever could. Something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, maybe not.
it's pretty badass. Or he's like, no, God will strike you down before that stone leaves your hand if you are lying now. And I'm butchering it, whatever.
It's a point. That's
He who cast the first stone.
Yeah.
It's a badass.
Yeah.
And is the don't throw stones in glass houses, that's just basically ripping off that saying.
No, it isn't.
Airing your dirty laundry, is that also?
Don't wear white after Labor Day? Well, no, the glass house thing is just the practical. Well, no, I guess it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, man,
If you're guilty, don't
be.
throw a stone at someone else you think is guilty.
Yeah. Don't fart in white shorts. I know that one.
Learned that the hard way.
Yeah, but and I think Mel Gibson is a pretty good filmmaker, but Scorsese is one of the best. So
yeah,
check out The Last Temptation, though it is longer, but also you might have forgotten this. Mel Gibson's is in Hebrew and Latin. It is not an English-speaking movie.
I think it's Aramaic.
So
because
it's Hebrew and Latin.
Did you look it up?
Yes, I specifically said those two not as a guess, but because I'd seen. That is what it is.
So the Jews spoke Hebrew and the Romans
I think
Latin.
I know that they do go by Jews, but you said it in a way that sounded racist.
You talk about the Jews more than Goebbels did, okay?
And that's because I love them.
Yeah.
I'm a big Larry David fan.
The Italians and the Jews, don't they
I watch Seinfeld.
Yeah, they do. Everybody confuses them. Very common. Second
Well,
World War was
here's
a nightmare
another thing.
because they couldn't figure out who was who.
The Italians would also play Indians back in the day.
Yeah, I knew that.
So something to keep in mind. Let us know your thoughts on those films down below. Let us know if you're Roman Catholic and subscribe. And if
or a druid.
And if you're Jewish,
Jewish,
let us know too. Do you take offense to what I say? Yes or no? And we'll read it on our next episode.